Hello, dear friend. I have a question for you. I'm sure you probably noticed that everyone wants to win, but wanting is not enough. The world is full of people who want success, but only a few who are wired for it. Only a few who've trained their minds, like athletes, to perform under pressure, to stay focused when others fold, to stay calm when everything is falling apart. That's what this audiobook is about. This is How to Think Like a Winner, the mental conditioning of the rich. And if you listen carefully, if you apply what you hear, you'll start to see the difference between how most people think and how winners build their thinking. Because success is not an accident. It's engineered through mental discipline, through awareness, through control. The rich don't just earn more, they think differently. They condition their minds for clarity, not comfort. They build habits that align with victory, not validation. So before we talk about money, we need to talk about mindset. Before we talk about wealth, we need to talk about wiring. Because you can't win with the mind of a victim, and you can't become rich with the thinking that keeps you broke. Dear friend, you are definitely on the right track if you are watching this video. Like, subscribe, and write in the comments which topic or problem concerns you the most. We promise to prepare a professional video explanation at your request. Chapter 1. The Mental Blueprint of Winners. Let's start with this truth. Winning is 80% mindset, 20% mechanics. Two people can have the same tools, the same skills, the same opportunities, but one wins, the other hesitates. Why? Because the winner has trained their brain to believe, focus, and act despite fear. The poor think in reaction. The rich think in creation. That's the blueprint difference. Winners don't wait for permission. They condition their minds for progress. If you've ever wondered why some people rise faster, earn more, stay consistent longer, it's not luck. It's conditioning. They've built mental habits that serve success. They train their focus like a muscle. They speak to themselves like a coach, not a critic. They protect their energy like it's gold. This is what separates temporary success from sustainable greatness. You don't become a winner when you get the trophy. You become a winner when you wake up every morning thinking like one. Chapter 2. The Habit of Winning. Let's talk about habits. Because the truth is, your habits will always reveal your future before your results do. Show me someone's habits, and I'll show you exactly where they'll end up in 5 years. You see, losers chase motivation. Winners chase discipline. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after the crowd goes home. Every champion you admire, athlete, entrepreneur, creator, they don't wake up feeling like it. They just do it. They've trained their minds to follow commitment, not emotion. When you master this, when you show up on the days you don't feel like it, you'll realize something profound. You don't need to be extraordinary to win. You just need to be consistent, because consistency compounds. You can outwork someone smarter than you. You can outlast someone more talented. But you'll never outgrow the person who shows up every single day. That's the mindset of the rich, not perfection, but persistence. Chapter 3. The Mental Toughness of Winners. Let's be real. Winning is not comfortable. It's not convenient. It's not clean. It's built through pressure, frustration, and failure. The difference between the poor and the rich isn't who suffers. It's how they process the pain. Poor minds take pain personally. Rich minds take pain professionally. A winner doesn't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "What is this teaching me?" When you start thinking like that, your entire world shifts. Every challenge becomes a classroom. Every setback becomes strategy. Every failure becomes feedback. That's why the rich don't crumble under criticism. They analyze it. They know pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. And the truth is, the universe will test you before it blesses you. You'll be broken to see if you can bend. You'll be ignored to see if you still believe. You'll be underestimated to see if you still move. That's how winners are built, not in applause, but in adversity. Chapter 4. Self-Talk of the Rich. Listen closely. Your mind is always listening to the way you speak about yourself. If you call yourself unlucky, the brain will look for proof. If you call yourself broke, the brain will behave accordingly. But if you start speaking as if you already own success, your brain begins to rewire your behavior to match that story. That's not fantasy. That's neuroscience. Remember, your language programs your belief. Your belief programs your reality. So here's the truth. The rich don't talk about problems. They talk about solutions. They don't say, "I can't afford it." They ask, "How can I afford it?" They don't say, "I'm not good at this." They say, "I'm learning this." That subtle difference from limitation to possibility is the mental upgrade that separates mediocrity from mastery. You're training your subconscious every time you speak. So speak like a winner, with vision, with power, with purpose, because the way you talk when no one's listening decides what happens when everyone's watching. Chapter 5. Focus is your greatest asset. In a world that's addicted to distraction, the ability to focus is the new wealth. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're unfocused. They chase 10 ideas, get halfway there, and wonder why nothing works. Winners think differently. They master the art of saying no. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing less, but better. If you can lock into one mission, one goal, and give it full attention, you'll outperform 99% of the world that's scattering theirs. That's what mental conditioning is about. Training your mind to resist the noise, the impulses, the endless temptations for quick hits of dopamine. Because wealth doesn't come from movement. It comes from momentum. And momentum only comes from focus. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right thing long enough. That's how you win. Chapter 6. The Battle of the Mind. The greatest battles you'll ever fight won't be with other people. They'll be with yourself. Because your real enemy is not competition. It's complacency. It's not rejection. It's self-doubt. It's not failure. It's fear of failure. And here's the paradox. The closer you get to success, the louder those inner voices become. The brain loves comfort. It craves safety. It will whisper, "You've done enough. You deserve a break." But that's not your mind talking. That's your programming. Winners don't negotiate with their excuses. They understand that growth and comfort can't coexist. You either evolve or you remain the same. The poor mindset looks for guarantees. The winner's mindset looks for growth. When you start thinking like a winner, you stop waiting for the perfect time. You create it. You stop looking for the easy way. You build strength through the hard way. That's what separates those who wish from those who win. Chapter 7. The Discipline Loop. Every winner has a system, not a random burst of motivation, a loop that keeps them accountable. Let's call it the discipline loop. It starts with one question. What must I do today to deserve the life I want tomorrow? Winners live by that question because they know success isn't built in a day. It's built daily. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself. It's about forming yourself. The average person waits to feel ready. Winners move when it's uncomfortable because they've trained their brains to understand one thing. Action creates clarity. Every time you act, no matter how small, you strengthen the mental muscle of discipline. It's not about motivation anymore. It's about identity. You act disciplined because you are disciplined. You show up because that's who you become. This is how mental conditioning transforms your life. You stop trying to control the future and start mastering the present moment. Friend, write your opinion on this topic in the comments. Do you agree with us or not? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Chapter 8, The Winner's Relationship with Failure. Let's destroy one myth right now. Winners fail more often than anyone else. They just fail forward. They've learned that failure is not the opposite of success. It's the ingredient of it. The poor mindset avoids failure at all costs. They think, if I fail, I'm done. But the rich mindset says, if I fail, I learn. If I learn, I grow. If I grow, I win. That's how champions think. The only people who never fail are the ones who never try. Failure gives you data. It teaches you patterns. It humbles you, strengthens you, sharpens your perspective. And if you don't let failure define you, it will refine you. The winner understands that every setback is feedback. Every obstacle is a filter separating those who talk from those who transform. So the next time you fall, ask yourself, what lesson is this pain trying to teach me? Because that question alone is how winners turn suffering into strategy. Chapter 9, The Winner's Focus, Long-Term Thinking. The rich don't think in days, they think in decades. That's why most people can't understand them. They plant seeds that take years to grow. They invest in habits that compound over time. They choose pain today for peace tomorrow. The poor look for the weekend. The rich look for the future. If you want to think like a winner, you must master long-term vision. Ask yourself, am I building something that lasts or something that just looks good today? Am I spending my time or investing it? Winners think in systems, not sprints. They zoom out. They play chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Because when you zoom out far enough, you realize every small decision matters. Every hour invested compounds. You're not just working on a project. You're working on a person. You. The project of becoming someone unshakable. Someone unstoppable. Someone who can be trusted with abundance. Chapter 10, The Inner Conversation of Winners. Do you know what truly separates the successful from the struggling? It's not luck. It's not even opportunity. It's self-talk. While most people feed their fears, winners feed their focus. They catch their inner dialogue and rewrite it. They refuse to let negative thoughts go unchallenged. You can't control the first thought that enters your mind, but you can control the second one, the one that decides your direction. When a loser fails, they say, I'm not good enough. When a winner fails, they say, I'm not done yet. When a loser gets rejected, they think, they don't like me. A winner thinks, I'll improve and come back stronger. You see the pattern? They turn emotion into energy. They turn pressure into purpose. That's how you train your brain, because the most powerful voice in your life will always be your own. And when you learn to speak to yourself like a winner, you'll start living like one. Chapter 11. Cutting the Noise. You cannot think like a winner if you live like a follower. That means cutting the noise, the gossip, the negativity, the distractions that drain your energy and dull your edge. Most people lose not because they lack potential, but because they drown in the opinions of others. Winners protect their peace. They curate their circle. They choose silence over drama, solitude over validation. Remember, your environment is your invisible mentor. So ask yourself, who are you allowing to influence your mind? Who do you listen to daily? Because energy is contagious. And if you surround yourself with mediocrity, you'll start settling for it. You must train your brain to seek challenge, not comfort. Choose people who remind you of where you're going, not where you've been. The people around you are either your anchors or your accelerators. Choose wisely. When you begin mastering these inner foundations, focus, discipline, long-term thinking, and mental toughness, you begin to recode your identity. You stop reacting to life and start designing it. But there's another level, a deeper layer of control that only the elite understand: how to command emotion, energy, and attention on demand. That's where we're headed next. Chapter 12. Emotional control is power. Most people lose the battle not because they're weak, but because they can't control their emotions long enough to win. They react too fast. They take things personally. They let their moods decide their moves. But winners, the real ones, have mastered emotional control. Emotional intelligence is the real currency of success. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't stay calm when things go wrong, you'll lose to someone who can. The rich don't waste energy on what they can't control. They train their minds to focus only on what they can influence: their mindset, their response, their decisions. Every time you feel angry, triggered, or insecure, you have a choice. React like the world programmed you to, or respond like the winner you're becoming. That pause between emotion and reaction, that's where wealth begins. That's where power lives. When you master that pause, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, no circumstance can break you. Chapter 13. Detach from outcomes. Let's be honest. Most people quit too early because they're emotionally attached to instant results. They want success to show up on their schedule. They want validation before the foundation. But winners think differently. They focus on the process, not the praise. They don't chase outcomes. They chase alignment. The day you stop needing results to feel worthy is the day you start winning consistently. The rich understand that control doesn't mean forcing things to happen. It means trusting yourself to handle whatever happens. So stop asking, when will it happen? And start asking, who must I become to deserve it? That's how you detach with power. You let go of desperation and replace it with discipline. You learn to work quietly, patiently, persistently, because you know the outcome is inevitable when your effort is consistent. Winners don't beg the universe for results. They become the kind of person who attracts them. Chapter 14. Mental Rehearsal. Train your brain for success. Every winner you admire rehearsed their victory long before anyone saw it. They visualized it. They felt it. They became it in their minds before they became it in life. That's not wishful thinking. That's mental conditioning. The mind cannot distinguish vividly imagined experience from real experience. When you mentally rehearse success, your brain begins to build neural pathways as if it's already happened. You prime your subconscious for achievement. That's why winners take visualization seriously. They see themselves executing flawlessly. They feel the confidence, the power, the gratitude ahead of time. So when it finally happens, it doesn't feel foreign. It feels familiar because they've already lived it thousands of times in their minds. Every morning, before you face the world, see the version of you that wins. Speak to them, act like them, walk like them. Soon, you'll stop pretending and start becoming. Chapter 15, The Inner Circle of Winners. Let's talk about your circle, because no matter how strong your mindset is, your environment will either feed it or drain it. Show me your 5 closest people, and I'll show you your next 5 years. Poor minds crave comfort. Winner minds crave challenge. That's why the rich surround themselves with people who think bigger, move faster, and live smarter. If you're always the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need people who push you, not praise your excuses. You need mentors who challenge your laziness, not validate your limits. You need a tribe that talks about execution, not entertainment. Because energy travels. If your environment doesn't elevate you, it will quietly eliminate your potential. Audit your circle. Who brings focus? Who brings chaos? Your life is a reflection of who you allow into your mental space. Winners guard it like gold. Chapter 16, How Winners Handle Pressure. Pressure reveals character. It exposes the difference between those who train for applause and those who train for mastery. When everything's easy, everyone looks confident. But when it's hard, only the trained mind stays calm. That's why the rich don't run from pressure. They use it. Pressure is not your enemy. It's proof that you're in the right place. When you feel overwhelmed, remind yourself, this is the stretch zone. This is where you expand your capacity. The key is perspective. Instead of saying, this is too much, winners say, this is making me stronger. Instead of, I can't handle this, they think, this is how I learn to handle more. Every test trains your nervous system for success. Every challenge increases your threshold for chaos. Because the truth is, wealth doesn't make life easier. It makes your responsibilities heavier. So if you can't handle small pressure now, you won't survive big success later. Winners know that resilience is a skill, and they train it daily. Chapter 17, Money and Mentality. Let's bring it back to money, because mindset without money, awareness is incomplete. Here's the truth. You don't attract money by needing it. You attract it by deserving it. And you deserve it when you've become the kind of person who can multiply it. Money flows to those who think abundantly and act intelligently. Poor minds think money is about luck. Winner minds know money is about leverage, about using time, talent, and systems to create more value than you consume. The rich don't just work for money. They make money work for them. They think in terms of assets, not hours. They ask, how can I make my effort compound while I sleep? That's the mentality you need to adopt. Not, I can't afford it, but how can I earn it, invest it, and multiply it? Money is a game of awareness, and awareness starts with mindset. Chapter 18, Never Compete, Always Create. Here's something the average person will never understand. The winner's mind doesn't compete. It creates. Competition comes from scarcity. Creation comes from abundance. When you compete, you copy. When you create, you lead. Winners don't chase trends, they set them. Stop worrying about what others are doing. The moment you start copying, you've already lost. Winners know that true wealth is built from originality, from solving problems that matter, from staying authentic when others conform. You are your own brand of brilliance. You are your own competitive edge. There's no one like you, and that's your leverage. Think about it. The people who changed the world didn't follow. They focused. They stayed in their lane until everyone else had to notice. So stop chasing crowds. Start building your craft, because creators outlast competitors. If you appreciate our efforts and our thoughts, subscribe and like this video. We need to show the world that there are many people like us. We must always continue to improve. The mental conditioning of a winner is not a switch. It's a system. And every system has stages: awareness, action, adjustment. You've learned awareness. Now it's time to dive into action. Because winners aren't thinkers alone, they're doers in motion. Next, we'll explore how to move like a winner, how to build momentum, make decisions fast, and transform your mindset into measurable results. Chapter 19. Action is your superpower. Thinking like a winner means nothing if you don't act like one. Because ideas don't create results. Execution does. You can have the perfect plan, the best strategy. But if you hesitate when it's time to move, you lose to someone with less talent but more courage. Action beats perfection every time. Most people overthink themselves out of opportunity. They wait for the right time, the right resources, the right confidence, and that waiting becomes their prison. Winners don't wait for certainty. They create it through movement. Every step you take teaches you something new. Every failure refines your approach. Every small action compounds into massive momentum. The rich act fast, but not recklessly. They move with clarity. They know that motion itself attracts answers. So if you're stuck, remember, you don't need the whole staircase. Just take the next step. Because progress, even slow, is better than paralysis that looks perfect. Chapter 20. Speed and decision-making. You can tell how successful someone is by how fast they make decisions. Poor minds delay, rich minds decide. The poor think, what if I fail? The rich think, what will I learn if I try? Speed matters because opportunity expires. Every great success story you know, business, sports, innovation, came from someone who acted while others hesitated. Indecision is the silent killer of dreams. Winners understand this. You can't steer a parked car. You can only adjust once you're in motion. That's why they don't wait for perfect information. They move, assess, and adapt. Because clarity doesn't come before action. It comes from action. You train your decision-making muscle by using it daily, making small choices faster, trusting your instincts, analyzing afterward, not before. If you practice this, you'll notice something amazing. Your confidence grows not because everything works out, but because you know you can handle it even when it doesn't. Chapter 21. Confidence is a skill, not a personality. Let's destroy one myth forever. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, and you build it through consistent action and kept promises to yourself. Confidence is the memory of success. Every time you say you'll do something and actually do it, you send a message to your brain. I can trust myself. That's how confidence grows, not from compliments, but from consistency. You don't need to fake it till you make it. You need to practice it until you become it. Every day, show up for yourself, even in small ways. Do the work. Honor your word. Push through resistance. That's how you train your brain to believe you're unstoppable, because you've given it proof. Confidence doesn't come from knowing you'll win. It comes from knowing that even if you don't, you'll keep going anyway. That's the real secret the rich understand. Self-trust is the foundation of wealth. Chapter 22. Energy is everything. Winners protect their energy like it's their greatest currency, because it is. You can't think like a winner if your mind is cluttered and your body is drained. You can't execute at a high level if your habits destroy your energy. Remember, energy is the fuel of execution. That's why the rich guard their routines fiercely. They prioritize sleep, nutrition, exercise, and mental clarity, not as luxury, but as strategy. They understand that focus is a product of energy, and energy is a product of how you treat your body and what you feed your mind. So check your habits. Are you over-consuming negativity, scrolling endlessly, reacting to everything? Or are you feeding your brain with purpose, gratitude, and growth? Winners know that what you consume daily becomes who you are. That includes content, conversations, and even thoughts. Protect your energy, because if you don't, the world will drain it, and you'll confuse fatigue for failure. Chapter 23, The Silence. Strategy. Have you noticed how the loudest people often achieve the least? Real winners understand the power of silence. They don't announce every move. They don't broadcast their goals. They let their results make the noise. Silence is a strategy, not weakness. When you stay quiet, you keep your energy concentrated. You stay mysterious, focused, dangerous. The poor mind seeks attention. The rich mind seeks advancement. Because while others are busy talking about what they'll do, winners are busy doing it. Silence protects your progress from premature judgment. It shields your dreams from negative energy. It keeps you grounded in reality, not validation. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You need to improve everything within yourself. So, learn the art of quiet execution. Move in silence and let your success announce your presence. Chapter 24. Systems over motivation. Motivation gets you started. Systems keep you going. Everyone feels inspired after a speech or video, but when that emotion fades, only systems keep you on track. Discipline beats motivation. Systems make discipline automatic. Winners automate their success. They build habits that run even when motivation dies. They create daily routines that align their goals with action. For example, instead of saying, "I'll work out 3 times this week," they schedule it like a meeting that can't be missed. Instead of saying, "I'll save money," they automate investments so it happens without emotion. You see the difference? They remove willpower from the equation because willpower is inconsistent, but systems are permanent. This is how the rich stay ahead, not because they're superhuman, but because they've built environments where success is the default, not the exception. Chapter 25. The Value Principle. Here's a truth that changes everything. Money follows value, and value starts in the mind. You don't get paid by the hour. You get paid for the value you bring to that hour. Poor minds focus on time. Rich minds focus on transformation. They ask, "How can I make my work worth more? How can I solve bigger problems?" That's why they never stay stuck. They're constantly learning, refining, evolving, because they understand that when you increase your value, your income has no choice but to rise with it. So if you want more, become more. Be the person who reads when others scroll, who studies when others sleep, who takes feedback as fuel instead of insult. That's how winners think, not "I deserve it," but "I will deserve it." Because wealth doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to worthiness. Every lesson up to now has built one thing: mental mastery. You're learning to think, act, and decide like a winner. But there's another level still waiting. The inner alignment between your purpose, your priorities, and your persistence. That's what turns a winner into a legend, and that's exactly what we'll uncover next. How to find your mission, live with purpose, and build a legacy that outlasts you. Chapter 26. Finding your mission. You can't think like a winner without knowing why you're fighting. Money is fuel, not the finish line. Success without direction is just chaos that looks impressive. Winners move with purpose. They wake up with mission energy. They ask themselves daily, what am I building? Who am I becoming? Why does it matter? When your purpose is strong enough, excuses become irrelevant. Most people drift through life reacting to circumstances. Winners design their life around a cause bigger than comfort. That's why you'll never see a true winner stuck in envy. They're too busy executing their mission. When your goals align with your purpose, you stop chasing dopamine and start chasing destiny. Because your mission gives meaning to the mundane. It turns discipline into devotion. So find your mission. What breaks your heart? What frustrates you so much that you have to fix it? That's your calling. And once you commit to it, life rearranges itself around your decision. Chapter 27. The obsession factor. You've heard people say, don't be obsessed. But they're wrong. Every great person you admire, athlete, entrepreneur, artist, leader, was obsessed. Obsession is the bridge between average and extraordinary. The poor mindset calls it unhealthy. The rich mindset calls it focus. Because if you're not obsessed with your dream, you'll always be distracted by someone else's. Winners go all in. They don't half invest their time or attention. They dive so deep that quitting becomes impossible. They study when they're tired. They create when they don't feel inspired. They rehearse when no one's watching. That's what obsession looks like. Not madness, but mastery. Obsession is misunderstood because most people have never experienced the power of being fully committed. So yes, become obsessed, but direct it wisely. Let your obsession refine you, not ruin you. Focus it on purpose, not ego. Because obsession with growth builds empires, but obsession with attention builds nothing. Chapter 28. Purpose over pleasure. Here's the hardest truth you'll ever learn. You can't have a meaningful life if you always choose comfort. The world today is addicted to pleasure. Instant gratification, endless distraction, emotional comfort. But winners are addicted to progress. Pain is temporary, but purpose is permanent. They understand that temporary discomfort leads to long-term fulfillment. Every workout that hurts builds strength. Every sacrifice that stings builds character. Every delay in gratification multiplies reward. Poor minds live for the weekend. Rich minds live for the mission. When you stop chasing pleasure and start pursuing purpose, everything changes. Your relationships, your energy, your wealth, your peace. Because pleasure is fleeting, but purpose is fulfilling. Winners know that pain with meaning is better than comfort without it. They'd rather suffer with direction than drift with ease. That's how they win, not because they have it easier, but because they choose meaning over mood. Chapter 29, The Art of Self-Reinvention. Winners evolve constantly. They never let their past define their future. The version of you that got here isn't the version that will get you there. That's the art of reinvention. Every level of success demands a new identity, new habits, new mindset. But most people cling to who they've been, and that's why they stay stuck. Reinvention means letting go of the labels, fears, and stories that no longer serve you. It means breaking the pattern that says, "This is just who I am." Winners know that who you are is a choice, not a sentence. They rewrite themselves again and again. They upgrade their beliefs like software. They question their habits ruthlessly. So ask yourself, what habits belong to your past, not your future? What beliefs are blocking your next level? Because the moment you choose to shed the old version of you, your environment, opportunities, and even people begin to shift. That's not magic. That's alignment. Please like and subscribe if you want a better future for your children, your family, and yourself. It's very difficult to achieve success today, but I'm sure you'll succeed. All you have to do is learn and discover new things. Chapter 30, Your environment is your identity. Let's get brutally honest. You can't grow in an environment that doesn't support growth. You can't win surrounded by people who've accepted losing. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. You may have the mindset of a champion, but if you're constantly surrounded by negative energy, gossip, laziness, and limitation, it will drain your potential like a slow leak. Winners don't tolerate that. They create ecosystems that elevate them. They decorate their minds with greatness, books, mentors, masterminds, daily habits. They place reminders of their goals everywhere. They design spaces that trigger focus instead of distraction. If you want to think like a winner, you have to live in an environment that reflects winning. Stop trying to fix yourself in toxic spaces. Start putting yourself where excellence is normal, not rare. Because proximity changes psychology, and psychology changes everything. Chapter 31, The Price of Success. Everybody wants success until they see the invoice, because success costs something, and most people aren't willing to pay. The price of success is paid in advance with time, pain, and persistence. Winners pay up front. They invest their time and mastery before the world applauds them. They fail publicly. They sacrifice comfort. They endure criticism from those who've never even tried. That's why there are so few winners. Not because it's impossible, but because it's uncomfortable. But the truth is, you'll pay a price either way. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of sacrifice or the pain of settling. Only one leads to freedom. And when you finally understand that, you'll stop asking, "Is it worth it?" and start saying, "I'm worth it." That's when life starts to open up, when you realize the price isn't punishment. It's proof. Proof that you're earning the right to live the life most only dream about. You now understand what separates the average from the elite: their purpose, their obsession, their focus, and their willingness to pay the price. But there's one more secret left. One more layer of thinking that unlocks limitless potential: the psychology of abundance and expansion. In the next part, you'll learn how winners think bigger than anyone else, how they create opportunities, attract wealth, and expand their influence without burning out. Because the final stage of the winner's mind is not just about achieving success, it's about sustaining it. Chapter 32. Think bigger than your limits. The biggest difference between those who win and those who wish is how they think. The poor think about survival. The middle class think about comfort. The rich think about expansion. Your income, your impact, your influence, they can only grow to the size of your mindset. You can't create a 7-figure life with a 3-figure mindset. You can't attract abundance if you're mentally rehearsing scarcity. Winners think on a different scale. They ask bigger questions. How can I multiply this? How can I serve more people? How can I build something that outlasts me? The average person dreams of paying bills on time. The winner dreams of paying others on time, creating opportunities, employing others, building legacies. That's how expansion begins. Not with a goal, but with a vision so powerful it scares your old self. You can't expand your life until you expand your mind. Start by thinking beyond what's probable. Ask, what's possible if I go all in? Because possibility, not probability, is the oxygen of the winner's mind. Chapter 33. The Law of Compound Thinking. Everyone understands compound interest with money, but few understand compound thinking. Your thoughts compound daily. Every idea repeated grows into belief, and every belief becomes your reality. The poor repeat thoughts of lack, fear, and limitation, and life gives them more of it. The rich repeat thoughts of abundance, creation, and control, and life gives them more of that. It's not luck, it's programming. If you tell your brain, I can't afford this, your mind stops working. If you tell it, how can I afford this? Your brain starts finding ways. The difference between struggle and success is one word: how. So start training your mind for expansion. Every time you hit an obstacle, ask how instead of why me. Every time you face fear, ask what's the lesson here. That's how compound thinking builds mental wealth. One upgraded thought at a time. Chapter 34. The Power of Long-Term Vision. Short-term minds chase likes, trends, and applause. Long-term minds build empires. If you want to think like a winner, stop playing short games with your long life. Most people underestimate what they can do in 10 years and overestimate what they can do in 10 days. That's why they quit early. They confuse slow progress with no progress. But winners know patience is the ultimate strategy. They think in decades, not days. They build with endurance, not emotion. Every small win compounds. Every quiet season is training. Every delayed reward is interest growing in your favor. So when life slows down, don't panic. Prepare, because momentum always returns to those who stay in motion. The rich never confuse waiting with wasting. They know that while everyone else is rushing for attention, they're quietly preparing for domination. Chapter 35. How Winners Build Wealth Mindsets. Let's talk about money again. Not the surface of it, but the psychology behind it. Poor minds chase money emotionally. Rich minds attract money strategically. Money doesn't make you rich. Thinking like wealth already belongs to you does. You see, money is energy. It flows to where it's respected, multiplied, and managed. The poor spend emotionally to feel better. The rich invest intentionally to grow stronger. They don't see money as a tool to escape pain. They see it as a vehicle for freedom. And that's why they stay wealthy. Because when you manage $100 well, you'll manage $100,000 well. When you respect small resources, you attract bigger opportunities. Remember? So stop saying, I'll save when I make more. Start saving, investing, and learning now. Even small steps compound into wealth when guided by wisdom. Wealth doesn't respond to income. It responds to intelligence. Chapter 36. Abundance is an attitude. Abundance has nothing to do with numbers. It's a frequency, a mindset, a way of seeing the world. Abundance means believing there's always more opportunity, more growth, more life. Poor minds think in scarcity. If you win, I lose. There's not enough for everyone. I better take before someone else does. But winners? They understand that life is not a pie. It's an ocean. There's always more to draw from. Abundance says, I can celebrate your success and still create mine. I can give freely because I trust in return. I can lose something today and gain tenfold tomorrow. Abundance isn't naive, it's powerful because it frees you from fear. And when you're not afraid of losing, you move faster, risk smarter, and attract more. That's why abundant thinkers win, not because they have more, but because they think as if they already do. Chapter 37. The rich don't chase, they attract. Here's one of the deepest truths of the rich mindset. You don't chase what you can attract. Chasing creates desperation. Attraction creates alignment. You attract not what you want, but who you are. When you're constantly chasing opportunities, relationships, validation, you signal to the world that you're empty. And emptiness repels abundance. The rich move differently. They work on themselves so much that opportunities find them. They become so valuable that people seek them out. That's the paradox. When you stop chasing, you start winning. Because attraction is the result of authenticity. It's the quiet confidence that says, I don't need, I choose. You don't need to convince people to believe in you. Just believe in yourself long enough for them to notice. Chapter 38. The secret of inner wealth. Everyone wants outer wealth. Cars, houses, status. But winners start with inner wealth. You can't live rich if you think poor. Inner wealth is peace when things go wrong. It's confidence when no one believes in you. It's gratitude before success, not after. Poor minds think peace comes after money. Rich minds know peace comes before it. Because if you're anxious, insecure, or fearful now, money will only magnify it. That's why many who win the lottery lose it all. Their inner world couldn't sustain the outer reward. So train yourself to feel abundant before it arrives. Wake up grateful. Act like the person who already has what they desire. Not arrogantly, but faithfully. That inner shift changes everything, because the universe doesn't respond to need, it responds to belief. Chapter 39. The mindset of giving. Here's the paradox that only the wealthy truly understand. You get more by giving more, not giving foolishly, giving intentionally. The poor hoard because they fear lack. The rich give because they trust abundance. Winners know that generosity keeps energy flowing. When you give time, value, wisdom, encouragement, you create invisible momentum. You plant seeds that multiply in ways you can't always predict. But giving also shapes your identity. It tells your subconscious, I have enough. And that identity attracts more. Giving doesn't make you weak. It makes you magnetic. Because nothing moves faster than value that circulates freely. Remember this. The poor, give when they have extra. Dear viewer, please write in the comments what interested you most in the video. This will help us improve our videos. Epilogue. Your next level starts now. You've just completed How to Think Like a Winner. But don't stop here, because this isn't the end. It's the initiation. The transformation doesn't happen by listening. It happens by living what you've learned. So tomorrow, when you wake up, decide to act like the person you're becoming. Decide to focus on what matters. Decide to train your mind until winning becomes your default. And when you do, you won't have to chase success anymore. You'll embody it, because the real victory isn't in achieving everything you want. It's in becoming everything you were born to be. Remember, the mind creates the man. The man creates the movement. The movement creates the legacy. Now go create yours. If you like this audiobook, please subscribe and like it. We would be very grateful. Bye, dear friend. I wish you all the best.